As the Father has loved me, so have I loved you. Now remain in my love. If you keep my commands, you will remain in my love, just as I have kept my Father's commands and remain in his love. I have told you this so that my joy may be in you, and that your joy may be complete. My command is this: love each other as I have loved you. For greater love has no person than to lay down their life for one's friends. And you are my friends if you do what I command. You see, I no longer call you servants, because a servant doesn't know what their master's business is. Instead, I now call you friends. For everything that I've learned from my Father, I've made known to you. You did not choose me, but I chose you, and I appointed you so that you might go out and bear fruit, fruit that will last. And so that whatever you ask in my name, my Father will give to you. So once again, this is my command: love each other. The Gospel of John, chapter 15, verses 9 to 17. I can think of no better day than Mother's Day to talk about this topic. This section of Jesus found in the 15th chapter of John is near the end of his life. This is when he's getting ready. He's in the final week. He's in the final few hours before he's about to be betrayed and handed over to the authorities. This is a section known to scholars as the section of the high priestly prayer, and it's a lot of words. But at the heart of it is what we just heard. This whole idea that, between the 10 commandments and over 600 rules and all this different stuff, what do we do, to follow God, to consider ourselves actual children of God? Jesus boils the whole thing down to this one commandment. All right, if you need a commandment, if you need a rule, if you need some guiding principle to know that you are a child of God, a follower of God, a recipient of the promised life of God, then do this one thing: love one another. I love that. I mean, we've talked about this so many different times, and it sounds great. If you have to do something, just love one another. But what I want to take a few brief moments now to reflect upon is the reality. At the beginning of the service, we talked about the various heartbreaks that Jesus' own mother Mary went through. The promise of Simeon, the fact that they had to escape to a different country, all the different ways in which people slammed her son and maligned her son's character, and of course the fact that she had to witness his brutal murder. She had to be there when they took his body off the cross. She had to do the worst thing any mom can do. She had to bury her own child. It's a perverse and horrific reversal of the rhythm that life is supposed to follow. It's the children that bury their parents, not the other way around. But in this, Jesus talks about what love actually is. It's not a feeling. It's not a sentiment. It's not something that you splash all over Hallmark cards. Love comes with a cost. Love is a power within you that permits self-sacrifice, the overlooking of your fundamental, what all of us struggle with, our fundamental desires to advance our own lives. Well, love overthrows it, and Jesus says it perfectly. There is no such thing as greater love than you would lay down your life for your friends, that you would lay down your life for another. And beautifully, Jesus goes on to say, and I call you friends. You see, servants don't know what their masters are doing. They're not expected to. They just have to say yes or no or do whatever it is that their master bids them to do. But friends have a dialogue. Friends have a relationship. Friends give and take. And Jesus takes this unbelievably loving step of calling us all his friends. You know what it is that I'm doing. I'm engaging with you. I'm revealing these plans to you, and I'm inviting you to go along. When I think of all the countless conversations my mom and I have had as adults, and that's such a weird dynamic when you are an adult and you're having another adult conversation with the woman, and with my dad as well. But this is Mother's Day. When you're having these adult conversations, I'm always sort of struck by the oddity of it, because this is the person that helped me understand the world, understand life. I'm largely responsible for creating who it is that I am. And as we talk as adults, and of course now as I'm a parent too, we talk a lot about just the happiness and the joy that comes from what others would be is a sacrifice. When I think of all the sacrifices of my mom, all the sacrifices she undertook voluntarily just to advance myself and my sister and to make our lives better and to give us all the tools possible to have the best life that she could offer, I'm always struck by that. The culture we live in has just got such a shallow understanding of this word love, this all-encompassing, all-powerful love. We've whittled it down into this emotion that if we feel like we like somebody and we're all warm and fuzzy inside, that's love, and that is not love. That's not the love that Jesus was talking about. That's not the love that actually functions in real life. Love is a choice, a daily decision to treat another human being's life, to treat another human being's desires and wishes and goals as above your own, willingly giving up your own desires to make sure that that other person gets something that you believe that they need. And it's arguably most powerfully represented in our human experience in the love of a parent for a child. And so on this Mother's Day, I could think of no better topic than just to reflect upon how Jesus framed love and the centrality Jesus gave to love in his own message. It's the only command he gave us. I hope, and I know this isn't everyone's case, it's definitely been my case, but it's not everyone's case. I hope you have had the experience of a loving parent. I know so many of you have this heartbreak as part of your own parenting experiences. I know there is division and strife. I know that there is struggle and wondering and there's questions. And I mean, if ever there's a job in life that makes you constantly doubt yourself and your abilities, I have to assume it's being a parent. I've never doubted myself so much, since I've been a dad. But I want you to see, and especially as we look at Mary, Jesus' own mom, I want you to see again that even in our questions, even in our doubts, even in our out and out failings as parents, I want you to see something sacred in that. That is not beyond the pale. That is not something separate to or less than your faith experience. Jesus' own mom experienced it in profound ways. She did not fully grasp the message and the life and the choices of her own son. And even though she is literally the only human being that experienced the entirety of Jesus' life from before his in utero experience all the way to his death and of course his resurrection and his ascension, she's the only human being that can claim that. She still had, because of her love for her son, moments of profound suffering, moments where she no doubt felt like a failure as a person and as a mom. So on this Mother's Day, I want to encourage you and remind you that of the one element of love that we sometimes sort of brush past, and I think we do that to our own detriment, is that love costs and love hurts. Love makes us struggle. Love drives us nuts. Love puts our heart out in the world and refuses to take it back in no matter how many times it gets hurt and beaten down. And that, my dear sisters, my dear mothers in the faith, is arguably the most noble thing about this whole human experience we call love. So on this Mother's Day, I want to remind you that however and wherever and whenever, however and wherever, that makes sense. However and wherever your relationships are with your own children, however and wherever you left your relationship with your own mom, I want to honor the fact that those struggles themselves reveal the depth of your love. And for that, I hope you find some encouragement. Because the love of a parent, the love of a mother, is probably the closest thing we will ever have in this life to the experience of the love of God. If your relationship with your mom wasn't great, I don't want you to think that can definitely harm your understanding of God's love. But even in recognizing the damage and even in being able to say, like, that was not how you were supposed to love me, I want you to hear that even your awareness of that is evidence that God's actual good love is within you, because it has revealed to you that this kind of love, this abusive love that you may or may not have experienced, that is wrong. That is not what love actually is. So on this Mother's Day, we celebrate love. We celebrate the embodiment of love. We celebrate the ways in which not just our biological mom, but other women in our lives have shown us love and support and encouragement, and that has greatly impacted our lives. We celebrate the loving spirit that is poured out on the children, that I've seen so many of you women in my church, and I've been the recipient of that love, of that affection, of that support. And in that, we have the most tangible examples in this life of the love of God that is promised to us in this life and into the life to come. So next week, we're going to look at the fact. Today was called All You Need Is Love. Next week, our sermon title is All You Have Is Life. And we're going to build on this idea of love on this Mother's Day, and indeed every day. And then look in the fact that love from God's perspective, sure, we'll say that, from God's perspective, fills up and overflows us as the recipients of that love with life, and a life so abundantly. So happy Mother's Day. Hi, Mom. I love you. I know I give you grief sometimes, but you love me. And I'm so close and I'm so happy, that in these past few years, we've been able to grow so much closer with having you and Dad being close by. So happy Mother's Day to all the wonderful women in Mountsburg and Westover. Being a mom is not just about giving birth. It is about being the type of woman that breathes encouragement and support and friendship and, in the words of Jesus, love. That you literally lay down your own desires and your own lives to love your friends and those around you. What a beautiful definition of love, and what a wonderful thing to reflect upon on this Mother's Day. All right. Happy Mother's Day. I love you. Thank you for loving me. Amen, amen, and amen.